Hi, I'm Father Anthony Hannon from Inviampachus, and this is to prepare his way. This morning I'm out at one of the beautiful lakes near Inviampachus, and today I'd like to do a video on the good news about mandatory mask orders. Out here in this area, the health department officer issued an order mandating the wearing of masks in all businesses and public places, and I suppose that includes churches. I didn't read the fine details on that. I didn't need to read all the fine details on that. Now, I was caught off guard by this 2 Saturdays ago. It came into effect a minute after midnight. I didn't know about it, and I went into one of the hardware stores that I often go to, and they told me, please put a mask on. And I said, no thanks, and said, no, you have to. And they said, is there a health reason why you won't? And I said, well, I have anxiety about it. And anyway, well, we can talk to the manager. I said, can I shop here without a mask? They said, no. So I left. I said, well, God bless you. I hope you don't die from the virus. They said, you too. So anyway, I wasn't too happy with my tone, but nonetheless, that's what happened. I went into another hardware store down the road, and I went in and I said, can I shop here without a mask? They said, no. I said, well, I hope you don't go out of business. And I left. Now, I took a picture of the order that they posted on their front door, and now I've since printed it out, and there are exemptions, and that's the good news. Now, just today, this is July the 7th, just today in the city of Ottawa and the surrounding areas, they've issued a mandatory mask wearing policy, and all the parish priests received an email from the Archdiocese. They didn't use the word mandatory, they used an even worse word. They used the word obligatory mask policy. Well, obligations in the church, that's a pretty heavy thing, right? Like, well, until they gave these kind of universal dispensation, it was an obligation under pain of mortal sin to attend mass, to assist at mass on Sundays and other holy days of obligation. So to use the word obligatory, that's very, very strong. So anyway, the good news is there's exemptions, and the good news on top of that is that you're all exempt. So this is actually one of our ways out of the COVID-19 prison. If only people would exercise their rights and realize what's actually going on. Now, I realize that the world is kind of divided into two camps right now. Those who believe that the COVID-19 is like a deadly, 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 deadly virus, and that all of the measures taken by governments and others are completely justified. And thank God they did it all that, and thank God most people are cooperating. Otherwise, we'd all be dead by now. So there's those people, and those people also. Now, I'm not in that camp, and God bless you if you are. I have some dear, dear friends who believe that, at least to some extent. I'm probably exaggerating the position a bit, but you know, I see them as in fear, right? That's the way I see them, but they don't see it that way. They see themselves as being responsible, and they would see someone like me, or perhaps someone like you. Since you're watching these videos, you tend to think kind of like I do. You know, that we are irresponsible. We are irresponsible, and not only are irresponsible, we don't care. We're not loving, you know, which is really, that's a real insult. You know, that's a big judgment there, that we don't love people because we won't wear a mask, or we're not looking forward to the Bill Gates vaccine or something like that. Anyway, here is the exemptions for the area where Inviampachus is. It says that a person shall be exempt from wearing a face covering on the premises if A, the person is a child under the age of 2 years, or a child under the age of 5 years, either chronologically or developmentally, and he or she refuses to wear a mask covering and cannot be persuaded to do so by their caregiver. So if you're a child, either, you know, chronologically or developmentally 5 years or younger, all you have to do is throw a temper tantrum and you're exempt. So that's good. And well, who can really judge? If I identify as a developmentally you know, what's the word that I cannot use? Retarded 5-year-old, then fine. I'm exempt because I identify as that. But anyway, that's a, let's not be silly here. Let's not be silly. B. Wearing a face covering would inhibit the person's ability to breathe in any way. Well, that is everybody. That is everybody. Look, I put an N95 mask on, and within about 10 or 15 seconds, it makes my breathing difficult. So I am exempt under number 2. Wearing a face covering would inhibit the person's ability to breathe in any way. C, for any other medical reason, the person cannot safely wear a face covering, such as, but not limited to, respiratory disease, cognitive difficulties, or difficulties in hearing or processing information. Yeah, because like everyone knows we hear through our nose and our mouth. So if you have a hearing problem, then you're exempt. So that's good anyway. Anyways, it says and above, it says this. A medical note is not required for customers who have an exemption from wearing a face covering under the Section 22 order. Please do not turn away customers. Instead, remind customers of the order. All exemptions to the order should be enacted and enforced in good faith. Well, good. So in other words, at both those hardware stores, they should not have turned me away. Bad on them. But you know what? That was the first day, and hopefully the owners of those stores or the managers have had some rogue customers like me who refuse to wear a mask since then, and hopefully they know that they should not be turning customers away. So the City of Ottawa has similar exemptions. These are the exemptions for the City of Ottawa. Children under 2 years of age, or children under the age of 5, either chronologically or developmentally, who refuse to wear a mask cannot be persuaded to do so by their caregivers. So that's the same. This one's slightly different. It's B is individuals with medical conditions rendering them unable to safely wear a mask, including breathing difficulties or cognitive difficulties. So they've added the word medical condition. So yeah, like I have a medical condition. The medical condition is that I'm a human being and that I require oxygen. I require a certain percentage of oxygen in the air that I breathe to breathe easily. And if I don't get that, it makes my breathing difficult. We're all exempt, folks. We're all exempt. Now, I know good Canadians, you don't want to confront anyone. You don't want the hassle, and you go in the store. Well, I'm only in 5 or 10 minutes. Who cares? I'll just wear the mask. Or you go to church and you say, well, I know the usher, and I don't want to give him a hard time. Hey, listen, what is this about the health department making businesses and churches kind of like responsible to enforce their rules? No, that's not your job. That's not your job. That's not your job. You're not trained in that. You know, when you try to make someone do something, you can meet all sorts of reactions. And are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? No. You should not be enforcing the rules. You're not a law enforcement officer. Why would a business or a church do that? And what type of person wants to control people like that? You know, when I was 18 years old, I started working at a movie theater. I worked there for about 4 years, some of the happiest days of my life, to be quite frank with you. And back in those days, there was smoking allowed in the theaters, and then they made it, well, it was only the back rows. So if it was a large theater, it might be like the back 12 rows, and if it was a small theater, it might be the back 4 rows. I used to work at a theater where there was 6 theaters, and they had different sizes. Anyway, so part of our job as an usher was to go in and check. We'd walk up and down the aisles, not disturbing anyone, but if anyone had their feet on the chairs in front of them, we'd ask them, could you please put your feet down? And if anyone was, smuggled alcohol or outside drinks, cans or anything like that, there's nothing worse than hearing a can roll down the theater aisle during the middle of the movie, So we would confiscate that or ask them to, leave that at the door. And we would also go and make sure that there was nobody smoking in the non-smoking section, But that didn't say that. The sign said smoking in the last 4 rows. So we would joke, We'd say, well, I got to go check theater number 3. Make sure everyone in the smoking section is smoking. Hey, kid, light up, man. But I'm just a kid. I don't care, man. Unless you have a medical condition that says you can't smoke, you better smoke right there, man. You're in the smoking section, right? No, that's ridiculous. Wearing a mask, it increases your carbon dioxide intake, it decreases your oxygen intake. It becomes hotspot for viruses and bacteria. It's not good for you. If most parishioners, most people who go to mass, sadly to say, but that's the truth, are elderly. That's our demographic. Why would I tell an elderly person or anyone to do something that is bad for them? I wouldn't say, hey, smoke. You have to smoke. Why would I say, hey, you have to mask? And when I was, because it's harmful for them. Are we ready? Do you have defibrillators in your church, for people when they have heart attacks or whatever, they get dizzy and fall because they have a lack of oxygen? Come on, people. It's absolutely insane to tell someone to do something that's bad for them. And well, the experts say it's the best way, and the experts say, okay, hey, listen, here's a message to the bishops. How did that work out when you said, well, we sent this perv priest off for treatment, and the psychiatrist said he's okay and he won't reoffend, so you reassigned him? How did that work out? No, you cannot hide behind the experts, and nobody can do that. Nobody can do that, eh? And no one should be saying, oh, I want to be an usher at church to tell all my fellow parishioners to do something that's harmful to them. What? Okay, listen. You're sick, okay? You're sick in the mind. There's a problem with you if you have control issues like that. That should be the last thing on your mind. It should be the hardest thing to get a volunteer at a parish to tell people to put on a mask. That's a terrible thing. So anyway, good news, you're all exempt, eh? Hey, when I was used to work in the parking business too, eh? And we had a rule, eh? Which was, you never tell someone exactly where to park. Why? Because if they park in that spot and then someone smashes into them, then they're going to come back and say, hey, you told me to park there. So we would never do that. So it's absolutely insane to tell people this is to wear a mask. You're telling them to do something that could harm them and will harm them, actually. It's just a matter of degree and intensity. And so absolutely not. Nobody should be telling anyone to do that. And you're going to be open for lawsuits in the future, okay? People are going to say, you told me to wear a mask, or you told my wife to wear a mask. She had a heart attack. Now she's dead. I'm suing you, Father so-and-so. I'm suing the diocese because you told me. Oh, but the expert said, yeah, well, hey, are the experts paying the bills to the victims of the priests that you reassigned? No. Okay, that's really, really good news. Hey, if you gave a donation to Vian Patches recently, you're going to get a video from me very soon. I'm just working on it now. I'm just kind of giving you the inside scoop about Vian Patches, and in that video, it's a private video, so only if you've given a donation are you going to get that. And so if you want to know what I really think, how about a donation to Vian Patches? Okay, very good. May Almighty God bless all of you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Go in peace. The truth has set you free. Live free.